Hello everybody. A little bit of background information before we get into this video. You're looking from the 17th floor of my condo at Doi Suthep. Doi means mountain in Thai. And at the very top you can see Wat Doi Suthep. Wat means temple. So since I've got a dozen videos about that from the ride up from the condo, we're going to start out at the temple today. And as you can see on the map, starting at the temple on the bottom right, we've got a curvy, twisty little road that goes up to Doi Pui, which is the highest part of Doi Suthep. You see Buping Palace over to the far left. That's where the king and queen and various other members of the royal family come when it's really hot down in Bangkok. Okay. Well, good morning. We've already ridden up the hill to Wat Doi Suthep, so we've got about 100 curves behind us, and I'm going on over to Doi Pui because I heard the roads have been paved since the time I was up here last. This is an enlightened individual, and right over here we've got a big Buddha, and that's the road I'll be heading on up on. Better check and see if the banana waffle lady is open. That's something you can't miss. There's a pretty good market here this morning. I think it's still before 7 a.m. Now that we've left the temple area, the road remains good. It's even got bike lanes on the side. So it's very comfortable through here. It hadn't gotten narrow yet. Unfortunately, in the morning, the mist and sometimes cloud cover and sometimes just a seeping spring head can keep wet areas on the road after you suspect it would normally be dry. Stuff like this right here, you don't know if it's going to be wet or slippery or not because there are eucalyptus trees up here and they're quite slippery. Well, here's the heliport and here we am. This is where they land the helicopter when the royal family comes up to Buping Palace, which is just ahead. We're almost up to the Buping Palace village. It's where the royals come, or some of the extended royalty, when it's real hot down in Bangkok. And it can get pretty warm down there. This place is somewhere around, I would estimate, 5,000 feet elevation. So it's a heap cooler here even than it is in Chiang Mai. We've got a short time before we're into the village. This is the outskirts of it. I'm looking around to make sure nobody jumps out in front of me. There's some greenhouses down in the valley to our left, and there's some trees almost in the road here. But this is where we entered the village, and there's a rotary here, so I gotta make sure I'm not gonna get killed. Motorcycle parking looks a little iffy. Now that we've gotten through this small village, you'll notice that the road gets down to one lane or one lane and a fraction. It's this is where the bad pavement was before. It was nothing but potholes and torn up pavement and lots of green moss that made it real slippery. So I'm really happy to see that they've paved this. It wouldn't have hurt if they'd made it 2 or 3 feet wider, but you know, you just can't get everything you want, and this is a huge improvement over the way it used to be. Still, you better be blowing your horn on the curves, because you don't want to meet anybody on these curves. Well, it's just not safe, and the Thais do not maintain a tight control over their lane in many cases. So it's it's still an adventure, and you got to be careful. We're coming up on where the road divides now. Now if you go straight here, you go down into a Hmong village. The sign right over there is an advertisement for it. And the Hmongs are a hill tribe. We're going to go right here and go on up toward the peak. Well, you can see that's not recommended. For some reason, these green things are recommended. Narrow road and sharp curve for your safety. Keep left, two-way traffic. Sharp curve, please press the horn. Drive with caution through this route. Emergency call, this, that, or the other. Alrighty, yes, that's the clouds we're above. At this point, I've climbed somewhere around, I think it's 4,500 feet elevation since I left the hotel. There's a Hmong tribal village down there. You can see that cloud creeping out from behind the mountain ridge just to my west. I believe that's my west. The sun is behind me. We can trust the sun, can't we? Well, this guy's been hanging out. He's convinced I've got a biscuit, but I'm afraid I don't. Now, if you listen to that PA announcement, that's the temple on the top of the hill over by the radio tower that's doing morning prayers. Well, I have arrived at the ranger station, and I just learned that I'm going to have to walk the final 2 kilometers to the peak. There's somebody else up here. It looks like it might be a rental cycle. And I guess I'll be fine leaving it here. I've never had anything stolen in Thailand. Well, that looks like a accident waiting to happen. I'm a little over 6,000 feet elevation now, and the air is not as thick as when I started this morning. It's just your basic jungle road. Oh, this is your wild jungle banana tree here with a cluster of bananas that are about to come in. So, as you can see, I'm getting into an area of cloud or fog, however you prefer. But I'm hoping that the top of the mountain will not be in the middle of a big old fog. Well, I guess it's fitting that it should start looking a little spooky with Halloween just around the corner. I've climbed through one cloud, and sure feels like I've gone 2 kilometers by now. Now, if you can see this green moss, it's what makes it so dangerous up here when it's wet, because it's really slick. And persons such as myself don't really fall gracefully anymore. And here's some more people up here.
No, we're the only ones here so far.
Yes, I saw your bike down at the bottom. Have you been to the top yet?
No, we didn't make it. We're in a bit of a hurry, so we're heading back down.
Well, that's a shame.
Yeah.
I got some really pleasing stuff off of that overlook. The way the clouds are hanging over.
Oh yeah, we actually got there at around 6 a.m. just as the sun was coming up, but from the wrong direction. We were looking down at the Hmong village.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so the sun was actually coming up over the back of us.
Where are you guys from?
I'm American. She's Filipino.
Which island in the Philippines?
Yep.
Alrighty. I was starting to wonder how far it was. That young couple didn't make it up here. They had to go back to town. But it says it's only 200 meters. I guess I can do that. And they call the road that I came up here on a bird watching trail. So I didn't see any birds, but I did hear one making noise in a tree. There's some kind of snake. I lost it. All right, here's the proof that I did get up here, but there's not really an overlook. And the trail has gotten down to just a one lane or one lane footpath. And I see no indication that there's an overlook. Well, we're here at Her Majesty's Wild Rose Tree. The Queen planted this on March 4th, 1993. And this is a rhododendron in America, but here it's called a white rose or comcao. Well, this viewpoint here is looking right into a cloud bank, and I don't think I want to make a withdrawal from that bank, so I'm heading back down the hill. Stop. Cop.
Hello.
Hello. Are you Thai? A little bit more sunlight on the Hmong village now. Now we've gotten back down to the Buping Palace village, and you'll notice that a whole bunch of those tourist vans have parked since we came through before. I'm going to wait a second here while that group gets their photograph made. I have such terrible impure thoughts about people that walk through my shots that I'm going to try to give this guy a break. And they're done. So now we just got a couple of miles back down to Wat Doi Suthep. There's that cop that didn't have a helmet on when he was riding. And as we start getting close to Wat Doi Suthep, you can see all these tourist vans and cars and various other vehicles that have brought people up to visit Wat Doi Suthep today. You're starting to look up like the clouds have invaded the area just south of the temple. In addition to the parking you see here, there's about 6 acres of parking where the buses go and where a lot more cars and motorcycles and whatnot are. This are some of the entrances to the temple. There is a tram going up, and where I parked earlier where there were no motorcycles is now full of motorcycles. To the right here is where the parking is, or auxiliary parking. And now we're going to head south back toward Chiang Mai. Got to watch some of these low-hanging branches or they'll knock you in your head. The curves are good, and fortunately the first wave of traffic out of Chiang Mai is already arrived at the temple. That guy's backup lights had me worried. I didn't know if they were working there or turning around. And now that we're back on the lower part of the road, it's mostly 2 and 3 lanes, so it's a lot more comfortable and the lanes are wider, which is a good thing. We're coming up on a scenic overlook of the city, but there's clouds in the way. I wonder if those people were broken down. Anyway, as long as we're going along here, it's very light traffic today, which surprises me. It is a weekday, but even weekdays, there can be as many as 2,250 vehicles going up the mountain to the temple. So we're lucky right now. We caught a lapse in the traffic. No shortage of curves.